Friends, Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life, bringing you my daily diary covering a full week from Sunday, July 24th of 2022 through Sunday, July 31st of 2022. So on Sunday the 24th, I started out here in my office, here at my desk, after some morning time of prayer. I got to my desk, had to do various emails and get ready, finish packing for a week-long trip that I was on. And let's see, I had a conversation with our executive director in the morning in between doing emails, connecting with various pro-life leaders, some of whom had questions related to the Dobbs case, preparation for some upcoming travels. Then I did live the 10 a.m. Mass, and did that, as well as a little bit of preparation in the studio after the Mass, and some tapings, then scheduling and planning for the coming week, both this week's travels and travels after that. But we let's see, we did scheduling at my desk also for the following month. You know, at this time of the month, we do the detailed planning for the next month. Had to approve some thank you texts, had to do some Radio Maria planning for our radio program, and had to organize some photos from some past trips so that they could be used for public distribution. But then at 4 o'clock, I got picked up on Sunday the 24th to go to the airport. In the car, I had an extensive conversation on my way to the airport with our vice chairman, Anthony, and we then checked in. I checked in at the airport and continued working as I flew then to my first destination, Washington, D.C. Got there and checked into the hotel and had some various email work then to do as the day finished there in Washington, and greeted some of the people arriving for the meeting there that I was attending the next day. The next day, Monday the 25th, started out with this meeting. It's the America First Policy Institute, and I was invited there to be with various people from who had worked in the White House under President Trump and who are now in this Policy Institute forging policy for future administrations. So I attended various meetings with them, various presentations, a special luncheon. Meanwhile, I had done some early work at my desk having to do with Kansas, preparing for their ballot initiative on pro-life, preparing a new pro-life prayer booklet called In the Company of His Saints, Prayers Honoring Pro-Life Saints. Let's see, I did also the state legal developments, some emails about that information, putting together some information about some bishops that are abusing their authority. We're reporting them. Worked regarding our interns. We have some summer interns working with us very fruitfully, making plans also for an upcoming luncheon with our congressional representative here in Florida. So the interaction with the various people at the conference was great, both in terms of the presentations they were giving and also just in terms of hooking up with them one-on-one as they were present and speaking in the hallways and things like that. Then went back to my room to do a Newsmax interview right around 4:30, and that was about the Kansas ballot initiative, a very important ballot initiative on pro-life. And then right after that Newsmax interview, I packed up my things and went right back to the airport, where I flew then to Chicago, worked on various emails and reading on the plane, and went to Chicago because there was meeting the Catholic Marketing Network. So I hooked up with Janet, our executive director, who was already there at the conference. She updated me once I arrived on the various things that were going on and how Priests for Life was involved, and we got ready for the next day. The next day being then, well, let's see. Oh, a couple of the other things I had to do on the emails. Plans for our upcoming pastoral team meeting, more upcoming travels, approving an insert for our upper donors mailing, approving appeals that are going out to our donors, scheduling and preparing for Right Side Broadcasting Network programs, and then some work with data from the Alan Guttmacher Institute and the Centers for Disease Control, latest statistics on abortion, working with that data. Okay, that brings us to then Tuesday, I guess, the 26th. Yes, I was there at the Catholic Marketing Network, and as I say, hooked up with Janet there. There was rosary in the morning and mass. I connected with the various people that were there. I did the emails on the subjects that I just mentioned. And then I connected with my staff in the morning for their briefing and had to meet with a few staff people after that, including with one of our interns who's doing video work. Then I went down to the gatherings of the Catholic Press and Catholic Marketing Network participants. Beautiful display area. These are book publishers. These are broadcasters. These are bookstores. These are religious goods stores, artists, and various people with so much creative talent gathered together for this trade show. And I made my way around as I usually do, interacting with these individuals. Then I had lunch with some of them, and just a great conference that we participate in each year. In the late afternoon, I went back up to my room to do an interview with the One America News Network, and that was an interview also about the upcoming Kansas referendum. And then went right back downstairs for an evening author meet and greet. So those of us who are authors, Catholic authors, we brought our books there, and we just had a couple of hours of just nonstop sitting at our table signing books. But then the people coming up to us were various Catholic bookstore and owners and ministry leaders from around the country who are interested in seeing what our latest books are and in arranging to get them for their stores. And that's always just such an energizing amount of time there, because they always have very encouraging things to say. And then we had a dinner meeting there at the hotel with one of our friends who works for Heroic Media, and they're doing a lot of great pro-life things as well. So that late dinner concluded Tuesday the 26th. Wednesday the 27th, I did various emails starting early in the morning at my desk. For example, things for preparing communication for Catholic media professionals, social media team updating me on various rules that apply to our platforms, preparation of our next newsletter, preparation of our next email blasts, and revision of a new brochure, a lengthier brochure that we're doing about the Dobbs Supreme Court decision reversing Roe. Went down to the Impact Breakfast of the Catholic Marketing Network. Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers spoke at that, and we interacted with him and the other participants. Right after that breakfast, it was time for me and Janet to make our presentation to the Catholic Marketing Network. And this event is taking place in the Archdiocese of Chicago. And Janet and I spoke about her new book, Everything You Need to Know About Abortion for Teens. And I also spoke about the Dobbs case, of course. We took some questions and gave some answers. So that was a nice hour-long presentation. After which, we continued interacting with the exhibitors and the different members there of the Catholic Marketing Network. And then at 12:30, I participated in another presentation where we had different leaders presenting just in rapid succession, very, very short presentations about their work. So I led that off and gave the opening prayer and message, and then we had a nice array of pro-life leaders there to do that. After which, I continued interacting with the various participants and the various exhibitors. There were a lot of people to say hello to. And then I went to the special dinner that evening, a Culture of Life dinner. We had a cocktail hour and then the dinner itself. Very, very beautiful. Oh, and what we also did in the mid-afternoon before that cocktail hour started, at 3 o'clock, the Chaplet of Divine Mercy, I led that chaplet for the members here of the Catholic Marketing Network and gave a reflection on the connection between the Chaplet of Divine Mercy and the fight against abortion. Okay, so that was Wednesday, the 27th of July. Thursday morning, the 28th, I took a 4:30 a.m. Uber to the Chicago airport to fly to San Francisco. There in the Uber and there on the plane, I did plenty of work on my computer and at the airport, email blasts going out in the coming days, sent photos to social media team for them to post, worked more on Kansas, the referendum, worked more on production of our Priest for Life newsletter, on the Dobbs brochure, on the evaluation of our recent meeting of pro-life leaders in Washington, plans for the next one, material for our webpage, and approving upcoming press releases. All of that got me to San Francisco. I got there and then took an Uber all the way up to the Napa Valley, about an hour away, and the Meritage Resort where our friend Tim Bush is in charge. And this was for the Napa Institute, as it's called, a very prestigious gathering of various Catholic leaders. I was there as a participant. Shortly after I got there, settled in, and began interacting with the various leaders, I had to do a 1:30 p.m. Interview for a Wichita radio station, again about the Kansas ballot initiative. So we did that, and then just a whole lot of interaction over lunch and in the hallways and in the exhibit areas and in the session rooms with Catholic leaders and people who have been friends for many, many years. Then in the evening of Thursday, I went to a reception with Bishop Jim Connolly for Catholic healthcare workers, and then had various other encounters that I made that evening. Joe Condit with the Catholic Speakers Bureau, and various others that I connected and networked with there at the Napa Institute. That dinner and networking took me all the way to the end of the day. Friday, July 29th, started off early with a 5:15 a.m. Now I was on Pacific time, of course, so it was 8:15 on the East Coast, but 5:15 a.m. radio show with our friend Teresa Tomeo. Right after that, I hopped in on our staff briefing and spoke to the staff. Right after that, our executive director and I had a job interview for a young woman who's applying to work at Priests for Life in the arena of correspondence and public outreach. So we had that interview for about half an hour. And then I went down for the breakfast, met with all these different leaders again at the Napa Institute. Various bishops were there that I knew from the time I was working in Rome, Archbishop Broglio, for example. Attended, I had to go back up into my room to help lead a prayer call, about a 45-minute prayer call. That was at 9 a.m. Pacific time. Then I went back to the networking, did some more. There were presentations being given about the Dobbs case. I listened to those. We had the lunch buffet, and then many, many interactions in the afternoon. Back up to my room to check in with my office, and then the evening events there with a special dinner and presentations as well with this Napa Institute. That was Friday the 29th. Saturday the 30th was a very similar day, doing a little bit of email work in my room early in the morning, but then taking part in the special breakfast held outdoors there in Napa, interacting with many great priests that were there from around the country, many great leaders. It was like a non-stop interaction throughout the day. There were meetings with people who are doing special work with changing pregnancy centers into medical clinics. They wanted to meet with me to get my input into that project. One of our colleagues at the Life Legal Defense organization met with me, and we discussed various legal issues. Our friends at Ignatius Press met with me, including Eva Montaigne, who heads up the West Coast Walk for Life. She was there at her table of books, and we had some good discussions as well. And as there was an exhibit booth for 40 Days for Life. I spoke with them for a while, another one for Students for Life, and another one for EWTN. Spent some time talking with our friends from EWTN and the top people at the network, including Michael Warsaw, Peter Gagnon. They were there as well. Talked with Congressman Dan Lipinski, former congressman who gave one of the speeches there at Napa, took part in the lunch buffet and in another one of the presentations later in the afternoon by several bishops, friends of ours, Bishop Jim Connolly, Bishop Liam Carey, and Archbishop Broglio, and then continued networking until the special evening cocktail reception and banquet that finished out the day there at Napa. And then after that closing banquet, where we listened to the former Attorney General, Bill Barr, when that was finished, I was picked up by an Uber and taken an hour south to the San Francisco airport, where I stayed at the airport hotel overnight to catch the next morning, Sunday the 31st, an early flight back to Orlando. A lot of work on the plane, reading. I finished reading Dick Morris's book called The Return, about President Trump's intention to run again for the presidency. Worked also on my computer on things like the schedule of work for our interns, Priests for Life Austria, the Dobbs booklet, more press releases, the upcoming 115 Forum, the Kansas Initiative, and the upcoming meeting that we'll be having to train our election volunteers. Got back here to my office just after 6 p.m, ordered some seafood for pickup for dinner, and then I had a lot of work to do at my desk. I started unpacking, I started signing some cards for some donors. I began just catching up on numerous piles of work that were waiting for me here at my desk, and then concluded the day on Sunday the 31st. So that's a full week of activity. Great travels, both to DC and to Chicago and to Napa, California, meeting with such great people all week long. It is an inspiration, and that's why we continue going full force, and you continue supporting us, working with us, praying with us, and thank you for your involvement in this great movement. Talk to you soon.